Hey, I question. Have you ever just poured your life into something or someone? You spent time, and you spent energy, and you spent money, and you gave all this effort into something or someone so that it might be something that you dreamed of. And it just turned into one massive disappointment. And have you ever looked at and said to yourself, what a waste. Wasted all that time, all that energy, months, years. I just poured it into that person, this ministry, that startup business, that dream, this relationship, and now it just hasn't turned out. What a waste. Have you ever been tempted to think that way? If so, maybe God put this story in the Bible just for you. It's found in 2 Samuel chapter 23. It says, during harvest time, 3 of the 30 chief warriors came to David at the cave of Adullam, while a band of Philistines was encamped in the valley of Rephaim. Backstory. David, you know the little shepherd boy who took the rock and killed the big giant? That guy? And that David who was then told was going to be the next king. The David who was taken into Saul, the current king's household, and he would serve Saul, and he would play music to calm Saul, and he would try to do his best to help Saul to be successful, but that king, just his spirit turned on David, and he tried to kill him. He ended up fleeing. He had a price on his head. He was now a fugitive. He's hiding in the wilderness. He's hiding in a place called the Cave of Adullam. That's the Cave of Adullam. That looks like a good time, doesn't it? That's where he was hanging out, hiding, because he had a price on his head. A little more backstory. During this time, it says that 400 people came to him so he could be their leader. The Bible describes these people as those who were in debt and discouraged and discontented. In other words, he was surrounded by 400 people with issues. So I'm living in a cave with a price on my head, surrounded by people with issues. Man, following God is great. This is working out just like I dreamed. I mean, couldn't David at that point have simply said, you know what, I'm sorry, but God, I am so disappointed in following you. Okay, I did the sheep and I protected the sheep, and then I killed the giant, and then I went into the palace, and I was doing anything you wanted me to do. I tried to be the good guy, and now that I'm following you and trying to be the good guy, I get a price on my head. I'm living in a cave. I'm surrounded by 400 people with issues. Can't make any of them happy. Boy, thanks for the dream, God. It says at that time David was in the stronghold, the cave of Adullam, and the Philistine garrison was at Bethlehem. Bethlehem was David's hometown. It's where David was from. It was where he was a shepherd, where he took care of the sheep. His hometown is now captured. He can't go home. It says, David longed for water and said, oh, that someone would get me a drink of the water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem. Oh, that someone would give me some water from that well that's by the gate of Bethlehem. Now, was David merely thirsty? I don't think so. There were other places to get water that weren't in the town surrounded by the enemy trying to kill you. Perhaps this was more David going, oh man, when I was a kid and I was in Bethlehem and I would take the sheep and we would go to that well outside the gate. That water was so good and life was just so peaceful. Maybe what David was doing there is remembering back to a time when things were simpler and life wasn't so complicated and so hard and so difficult and just so downright disappointing. Oh man, what I wouldn't want to give. Whew, for a drink from that well back. Oh man, what times are so good. And a couple of David's men hear him say that, and they're one of those people that have trouble telling when somebody's just being kind of metaphorical. And they're going, oh, dude, you want a drink? You got it. And so what they do is, they travel 12 miles from the camp of Adullam to the city of Bethlehem. Through enemy territory, here's the garrison of troops surrounding the city. They somehow manage to get through the line, get to the well, draw some water, sneak back through the adversaries, and back to the camp of Adullam. And they go, David, water from the well outside the gate of Bethlehem. Risk life and limb for it. If you want to drink, you got to drink. Sweet. And they got to be thinking, man, if we are not in line for promotion now, I don't know who is. Okay? This is awesome. They carried it back to David, but he refused to drink it. Instead, he poured it out before the Lord. Now, if you were one of the three guys who brought this back and the guy took it and said, I can't drink this, and dumped it out, what would you do? I can't drink this! Get what happened? Quote, next verse. Far be it from me, Lord, to do this, he said. When he prayed that prayer, far be it from me to simply drink this water, and instead I'm going to pour it out. Everybody around him recognized what was going on. It was called a drink offering. See, the custom of the people, actually all the surrounding people, was this. If you had really been blessed by God, then what you did is when you started to receive part of that blessing, you'd give part of it back. If it was grain, grain. If it was sheep, sheep. If it was wine, wine. If it was water, water. You poured part of it as an offering to say, I recognize it all comes from you. And I just want to acknowledge that, and I just want to keep your favor on my life. And there's no doubt these men looked at that water and they said, all of that work, and you poured it out? What a waste. And David's going, no, this is like a metaphor for my life. It's like a metaphor for anyone whose dreams have not turned out like they planned. That the effort you made wasn't wasted. It's become an offering. An offering given up to God to demonstrate to Him how worthy He is. That He is the giver of all good things. And He took something so mundane like water and it became sacred when He offered it to Him. And He's saying to these men, that water is not wasted. Your effort is not wasted. Even though it was not used for what you thought it should be. The outcome wasn't like you thought. Instead, it's going up as an offering to express thanks and gratitude for the God who gives all good things. And He is worthy of that. Every moment you've spent, every word you've spoken, everything you've done, that you've poured into someone or something to try to make something righteous and good happen and dreams be realized, is not wasted even if the dream is not realized. It is not a failure. It is an offering. Because God is worthy. See, some of you just think you failed. And what you've really done is you've used your life as an offering to do something righteous and good for someone or something.